Well, hey, everybody. This is Scooter. I'm the Crockett Cooner. This is kind of our video here at YouTube talking about our online course Fetch that we have written. A lot of folks that follow us on YouTube and on Facebook and maybe even on Instagram have heard that we've wrote these online courses, and it was quite interesting to do, Scooter. It was a lot of work, but we enjoyed it. But we're going to tell you guys a little bit, for everybody that's found this, what Fetch is, what it's about, why we look the way we do, and what we do, and those types of things. Guys, definitely wanted to look nice, as far as that goes. We're both hat people. We wear hats all the time. One thing that does come with, like, hunting dogs, that's something that I used to be a professional raccoon hunter, had a dog kennel and everything. I still have my hounds. You'll see the older fellas with the hats and things. I got into wearing hats many years ago. They give you a feeling of, what would you say, Scooter? Comfort, I guess, when you wear them all the time.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Notoriety.
Yeah, people know it's that guy with the hat.
If
I take it off, nobody knows me. But as far as Fetch goes, guys, the class basically, or the online course, has about 4 different modules to it. Each one of those modules has different chapters with different lessons. We go through everything from the beginning of dogs, such as, like, how did ancient man start taking wild canines to get them to be the dogs that we know today. And then we talk about some misconceptions and things, like if you start watching Old Yeller and, you start watching Where the Red Fern Grows, you start watching Ren 1010, or you start hearing true, accurate, historical things about dogs, then you say, well, can my dog do this? Well, it could. But a lot of that depends on breeding and time you spend with it and the environment that it's around and all of these things. Is it a male or female dog? And, and how much time you're willing to spend with this dog. And what we do is we talk a little bit about misconceptions that people have about dogs that have come through things like film and those types of deal. And then we get to going a little bit more, guys, later on in the course, and we start talking about, well, hey, you're going to select this dog. Have you thought about, things like, lifestyle? Have you thought about, is this breed good for you? Or are you still doing that kind of, well, I saw it on a music video. I definitely need a pit bull dog, but you weigh 30 pounds and have 4 small children. Well, might be the best dog that's ever been around kids. It might also be the worst.
Yeah. Sounds like you're going to have a drug problem. You're going to be drugged down the street.
Yes, exactly. Or they could also, I don't want to pick on the bully breeds because I love those myself. I've had 2. But it might be the same if you live in a small 2-bedroom or 2-room apartment. Do you need a 150-pound Great Dane? I mean, do you need a dog this big? I don't know. There's always exceptions to anything. But we talk a little bit about that, and then we talk more in the class about what happens when your dog passes away. What if you live somewhere that has a homeowners association? Or what if you're an elderly person that lives in a neighborhood and you go and you adopt this dog, and then say the homeowners association comes over and says, listen, we don't let people have these breeds of dogs, but you can have the smaller toy breeds, those types of things. All of this is very interesting. And then Scooter actually has a part. You might want to tell them about picture perfect paws. I always say that wrong, guys.
So that's fine. You'll learn why when you get the course. You know what I mean? But I guess in a nutshell, what we want to do is match people to the dog breeds in a way that makes both of you happy.
Yes,
if you're going to get this course, we want that to be what you're going to do at the end. And sometimes, as you'll find out, if you do take this course, you'll find that Scooter here is a kitty boy. He does not have dogs unless they come up here because I feed them. And that's because they look so lonely and they get their little paws. I have to give you food. Anyway, so you're going to have neighborhood dogs in that way. And they have collars, and we like to see them go down there, and they're fine.
Yeah.
They're just fine. So sometimes you might not be the person who needs a dog, because what we're going to do is we're going to talk a lot about knowing yourself first.
Very first.
Oh, my, because so many people have got buyer's remorse.
Oh, yeah.
They've seen a husky they're like, but it's got those blue eyes, Josh.
Oh, and it changed when it got older, huh?
Yeah, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And they hate children, and they get jealous, and then you know what I mean. So you bought it for the wrong reason, and we want to match people.
We get to talk about the community dogs. Well, guys, I'll tell you a little something. When we were doing research, getting photos and videos and things for this online course, the area where I am located in southern Middle Tennessee, hey, there's a store there that always had 2 or 3 dogs laying around, and wouldn't you know it, I talked to some folks in the store. They're like, nope, this organization showed up, and they said these dogs were not cared for, and they picked them up. And I made the course, and I looked out there just 2 days ago. There was 2 new dogs laying around. But why don't you really see the community dogs anymore? Have you noticed that? You don't see them like you did 30 years ago. There's not just a dog walking down the road by itself. It's like, huh. And we get to talking a little bit in this course about like leash laws. Certain areas of the world, you have to keep a dog on concrete. If it stays outside, it can't stay on dirt, or it has to be in a kennel. And then on to future things that I love. We're talking about Spot from Boston Dynamics. What happens when the robot dog meets a real dog? That dog could probably do your taxes, but
it won't pee on your tire.
Exactly.
Or will it?
Well, it might. It depends on how lifelike they want them. And then we talk about other things like the talk buttons that we see with dogs. We talk a little bit more about like collars and apps and things that are going to change dog barks into human voice. That's pretty interesting, But, there's all different types of things in this as far as being basically new to being a dog owner, or even for people that maybe 30 years ago when you were a kid, you had a dog, or grandma and grandpa had a dog and you were around it. And now the living situation is totally different, and you're like, I want another dog. And then you get the dog, and it's like, oh, I just had that happen with a friend of mine. He wanted a hound, and he doesn't live here in a rural area anymore. He lives in a very busy city, and he called me back 2 weeks later, Scooter, and said, hey, do you want this dog? And I'm like, no, buddy, I don't. I'm sorry, I have 2 myself. Well, we're going to have to give her to someone. She's just too much energy for this small of an area. She needs to run, be out on a farm. And I'm like, yeah.
I figured it'd be the barking.
Well, that was part of it.
Everybody's neighbors like, that guy's got a hound.
The neighbors had a cat, actually, Scooter. And they found out quite quickly even the hound was not trained. It had never been trained to hunt anything. But when the neighbor's cat came over their fence, all of a sudden they all got alerted.
All systems go.
Yeah, it was 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon with everybody relaxing, and then it was like, what's up with this dog? And
well, so many times we have we've all got these now, these smartphone, and there's so many dating apps, you know what I mean? So you can swipe left or swipe right. Well, what if you did that with dogs?
Yeah.
And you can have a dog, and he can sit across from you, and hopefully you don't lady and tramp over spaghetti, but you're getting to know each other, and you're like, are you going to be a good fit for me? And that's one of the things we'd love to see in this. But in the end, just like me, I don't have a dog. This might be a good way of talking you out of getting one, because what you're trying to get into is kind of selfish. You want to look tough, so you got 2 Rockwallers, and now you're skiing down the road holding on to 2 collars because a car with a dog or a cat, like I got, drove down with the window down, and it was like, and it was, next thing you know, your lunch.
That is true. That's a big thing that I have seen in the dog.
Get the good reasons.
A lot of people are like, you know what? Quit buying dogs that you can't control or handle. And I'm like, I agree. As somebody who has raised 80 and 90 and 100-pound hounds, it's like, if you're not a stout person, you don't. That's not the dog for you, I don't think. But that happens a lot, guys, and that is something that we talk about in this course too, which we're giving it to you a little bit out of order here on YouTube.
Yeah,
but
well, there's got to be that element too.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever got a phone call that should have been a text? Or have you ever got a text or an email that should have been a text?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you can't just squeeze everything into a video. And that's why we're doing a lot of this here, is that if you were trying to do something highly complicated, you want the long form.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You don't want the TikTok recipe, that's 7 seconds long. You just throw this, and here it comes out of the oven. Well, what happened in the meantime?
Yeah.
You can't do that. Sometimes you really need an expert to sit down and explain it in their terms and their terminology and the way they phrase sentences in the best way possible. And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, pretty much so. That's, I know there's a whole chapter there, or lesson that's basically dedicated to, as Scooter would say, know thyself. Well, a lot of times people are like, well, it's no problem. I just live here. I'll just go get this dog. And then they find out that there's some homeowners association, or you can't put up a fence, or even better, you've got one of these electric invisible fences, and somebody else had a dog that didn't need a fence, but that one day it saw your dog, it just ran across, and there was problems. We talk a little bit about dog parks and dog culture in it.
Oh, yeah.
Once you get a canine, guys, especially if you live in a very urban type of setting, you're going to be changing your lifestyle a little. Are you going to the dog park? Is it the big dog park or the little dog park? Are you going to have someone that comes every day? Is your dog going to doggy daycare? What is that going to cost?
Mm-hmm.
What does it cost for certain breeds? I mean, to go get their hair cut or to feed a big dog. And these are things that many times people do on impulse, because we sit right there and we see a puppy and we go, wow, look at those big ears and those big eyes, and I have all this serotonin things going on in my brain. I need to protect it and take care of it. And it's like, maybe not you, not that particular dog. Maybe you need a different dog. Maybe this is not the dog for you, or maybe it is the right dog. I don't know. But that's kind of what Fetch is about, guys. For anybody that's wanting to purchase it, get it, whatever, that's what it's for. It's kind of for new dog owners to kind of tell you what to expect, and also for people that are going, do I want to be on Team Dog? And we both hope that you are. We hope that you're not allergic. We hope everything's fine. But with certain breeds and things, I mean, we'll talk about the bully breed for a minute. Any of those, many times when you just walk down the road, it could be the sweetest dog in the world, and people are terrified because they've seen so much. But for folks that have lived long enough, we remember when that was the Rottweiler, the Doberman, the Shepherds. Throughout the years, they pick a different breed to be mad at. Are those stereotypes true? Sometimes. Are they true all the time? Not all the time. And that's why, as Scooter would say, you need the long form. You need to see the whole deal as much as we could. Yeah. I believe it's, what do we say, 16 to 20 hours for this course?
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. It is quite long, and it's because it needs to be. I mean, it's like what if you went to see a doctor and they took a weekend course online? Yeah. I mean, you even if they're right, they were lucky.
Exactly.
Or like a mechanic, and it's just like, well, did you get a crescent wrench? And he's like, what's a crescent wrench? Yeah. It's like, I thought you went to school. It's like, no. You see, when I did like an online thing, and it's like, it was over the weekend, and it's like, you can't learn to be a mechanic over a weekend.
Yeah.
You need time to really, and what we also want to give you a little bit of homework in this course. I want you to get out back with a set of coffee and something and be like, what do I want in a dog? That's a good reflective point. You know what I mean? And I think there's also going to be a quiz. Now, let me go ahead and talk about it. Once you go to the module and you go to a quiz, you cannot fail the quiz, all right? You cannot. As soon as you pick a good answer or a wrong answer, it just gives you the good answer. And you can share it on social media and all that sort of thing. You will get a certificate in this course as well. No, it is not recognized by anything. It's for you to say, I took the time out to do a dog course. I also have to say, you're in for life. This isn't like a one payment, then next month there's another payment, then I didn't get into that. This is one payment for life. And we're going to build onto it. We're going to have some extra videos. And then as you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be some things in the comments. Of course, we'll have to discount about 90% of them because they're bots or crazy people. But sometimes there's some really good ones, especially on our Facebook pages. If you haven't been to the Crockett Coonhound, I suggest you do so. You would also see that we dress different over there.
Yes.
I'm the one that's well dressed in suits. I have my own tuxedos, and but this time
I'm
I
the
wanted
guy that's in the creek. A lot of times it's
well, I
like
wanted
I'm not
to dress
dressed up,
like
you know.
I'm the rebel, a little bit more rebellious. I got the leather jacket and the hat, and you needed, because you are the more professional. Like, you've had accolades and
Yes,
you've
and
won
it's-
stuff with dogs. I don't know how to spell dog sometimes, and I'm not
even
sure which
even
end
at
of
a
the
lot of
dog you
those
feed.
events, we're not dressed up in my particular.
Yeah.
Unless you call overalls dressed up.
Well, they're
So-
coon hunting. I get that. I don't see you throwing down at the dog show.
That's true. The big ones. You won't
Yeah,
see me
yeah,
on
yeah.
television. I don't get.
Maybe.
Even though I've met quite a few of those folks, and they talk basically the same things I talk, and then when we said no, we still use ours for hunting. They're like, oh, and then they want to know all about it, and it's like, yes, which would eventually bring us to a second course about
Yes.
nothing but raccoon hounds and hunting breeds, like as far as hounds go, which I'm going to cover some Stevens curs, those types of things, and it's maybe even some running hounds like Julies and those types of dogs. But you know, that's something we need to talk about right there in Fetch. We talk about selecting a puppy and having buyer's remorse, you know, because a lot of times at the holidays, and currently after we're filming this, it's right after New Year's and
Yeah.
things. You have those people that about a week into it go, man, we shouldn't have got a dog for Christmas.
Especially for a baby. They want a puppy and a baby. It's like,
bad
now you've got
idea.
two babies.
Yeah, exactly.
And one will bite everything.
That's right.
Which one?
Yeah, that's something that's very a bit of a problem at times. I know I don't want to sound negative and people not try, because I definitely don't want that. But I definitely want them to have a good understanding, and that's why we built Fetch, and
Yeah.
from people who love dogs, you know. But we get into that too. Or do you have to have your dog in the house all the time? I have true sporting hounds. Now, they've been in about twice since the new year began, which has only been about 4 or 5 days. But most of the time they're outside, and you can
Yeah.
tell they look at me like we love it indoors with you, but we want to go back out there, and we want you to come with us. Or you
Yeah,
come
no matter
outside.
how cold it is.
That's right. We're hunting dogs. That's what
You
we
know,
do.
and I think too, some people they think because they were like, beginning of the year, I'm going to get in shape. I need a dog I can run with.
Yes.
And everybody that's got a treadmill at home that says I'm going to run outside, and you find that becomes basically a clothesline
Yeah.
to throw stuff all over,
Yeah.
and it becomes the summertime yard sale item.
Yeah.
Realizes that if you bought a dog that's very active, and you don't become active yourself, or it wears off after you think
Yeah.
you need your knee replacement surgery,
Oh, yeah.
well, that dog is still ready for you to run. And you bought a dog, and now you're going to have about 12 years with a dog that's very active
That's right.
that you thought you were going to run with because you've seen some lady running around with this
Oh,
beautiful, fine dog with the little tail and the stuff, and it was going down the road, and then you stopped running.
Yep.
That is terrible for both of you. So we've seen buyer's remorse so many times that we're going to make a course to prevent it.
Algorithmically speaking, folks, because we've done research for this course, I cannot count the videos I've seen where people were like, well, you know, I kind of tried to turn over a new leaf in life and jog, and I quit doing it because it hurt my knee, it hurt my back. And now they have something like a retired Great Dane that wanted to, or excuse me, a retired Greyhound that wanted to run with them every day. Like, we're not running after a toy rabbit, but hey, we're running. And things at dog parks, you know, people would get big dogs they couldn't control. Oh, my dog won't hurt anybody. No, but the gentleman that's over there in the corner by himself, his dog would, and he recognized this. And when your dog ran up, there was a problem. We've all seen the videos. And algorithmically speaking, I guess is the best way to put it, I have got thousands of them and watched tons of them till I'm like, wow, I'm glad we made this course, because it's just
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
over and over and over. And I'm like, these folks know this, they see this, it's a difference in people, it's bad situations, but a lot of this could have maybe been prevented by knowing yourself off the bat and knowing what's going to come. I love the idea of, adventure in the future type of thing. But when you're the human being and the adult that is caring for this canine, a lot of times people say that, we're gonna try a dog before we get a child. Well, that's a good indicator, but is that such a good idea? I don't know, but it depends on each individual, and that's why we talk about this in the course. I mean, other things, the I believe there's one part, the future and playing fetch. I love all that. And then
I guess we could tell them a little.
well, we could tell them some more about it.
Let's just look through here, because we don't want to steal from the course, you know what I mean? But we're going to give you a whole lot of stuff so that you know what this course is for you, because we do touch on relational issues whenever two people
meet.
Want to, and then what happens when one of them has dog allergies?
Yeah. And it's like, well, I have to get rid of a dog I've had for 8 years and it loves me. What are you going to do? I mean,
there's ways around it. So we're trying to get win-win scenarios. So there's going to be a lot of that sort of thing.
I'll tell you something we need to mention here, which is something that Scooter does in the course, and that is taking pictures with your dog online. I cannot tell you how many folks I follow over here on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook. They are dog people. They love them. They love specific breeds. Or just, it doesn't matter if they're a mongrel or a mutt, you would say to them. What about that, Scooter? This is your cup of tea right here. What about taking pictures with your dog? I mean, should you get somebody or do it yourself?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest questions right off the bat, because as a professional photographer, I got a big lens thing that comes out. I got these big 7-foot umbrellas. You know what I mean? I could take a family photo really well. I could take a model photo really well. I could take a picture of a car really well. However, when I get near your dog, oh my, they want to attack me. So what do you think kind of photo I'm going to take? And it's so a lot of times, especially I talk about you guys that have phones. We all have phones. I talk about phone apps. I talk about how there's some applications that let the sensor in your phone take a better photo than it would on its natural app. I talk about delay so that you can run around the side and get in the picture. I could talk about little squeaky toys that get their attention. You know what I mean? So because they won't look, because they're hyper focused. You start squeaking, and next thing you know, the dog looks at it, and you got it, and you've got it for good. We also talk about using AI. Oh yes, with dogs. So you could be water skiing, and your dog's driving the boat, and because now we have AI systems. I don't know how you feel about it. I just talk about it in the course. So that we do cover a lot of things. You want to talk about some of these? I know in Module 1, we talk about introducing ourselves, because if you don't trust us, you can't learn from us. So we each have about an hour talking, proving with photo evidence of how we got to be dog people, and how I'm no longer a dog person. I've had a lot of dogs, and while Josh here is the dog man, basically. So I love my hounds. I do. I hope I have them to the day that I'm gone from this place. I do. How do they do that? How can they run around at night, not hurt themselves really, smell a raccoon, not run into everything in the woods, and find it and bark to let us know? That just has blown my mind since I was a kid. That's something we do on the introduction in the course. What made me love dogs so much? I don't know. It's just, they just fascinated me ever since I was a kid. And I tried to turn it into a profession years ago and did, and then due to economy, it was like, Yeah, it shows when I was about 2, my parents got me dogs, and my dad had a big dog. It was like a police dog, and before I was born, so when I was born, so I've always had them. I just kind of had to go, oh, dogs, they're cool. Yeah. And you can grab her little cheekies, and they're like, I won't bite you yet. But I decided not to get dogs. I decided to go the cat realm today, and I explain that, and that's okay too. So we do talk a lot about knowing yourself. Like Josh has dogs. He takes them off the lead, and they'll book across the woods, and he's like, I guess I'll walk at them. Because there's no catching a hound. They can run like 40 miles an hour, I believe, or something like that. And will go far enough that you want to get in the car to go to them, okay? And
tracking them, I know that, for instance, when I made it, some of the background stuff is one of my old tracking systems and things. You know, that's another one I talk later on in the course about. Like, for instance, I think I mentioned the bully breed, and I say, well, what if you have a neighbor that's terrified of this dog that won't hurt anyone? But it's the same with hounds. I've had to explain to my neighbors before, Scooter, I'm like, listen, I can't just let them run around in the back. And it's like, why? And I'm like, well, you have cats. They don't like
Chickens
them.
and
Yeah, chickens. It's like they're true working dogs. And we talk about the different breeds, toy dogs and working dogs and non-sporting and all of this.
Yeah.
And some of the original canine clubs, I do know that I mentioned that when they started, how many dogs that they had, how many now they're talking about. We talk a little bit about some of the new breeds that come up, like where they're mixing standard poodles with retrievers, which are both actually, one's still a working dog. Not a lot of people hunt with a poodle anymore, but they were bird dogs.
They're military dogs.
Yeah, they're intelligent. We had one of those as a kid, but
They will bite you.
yes.
See, like I would get a dog that basically resembles a cat, like a Bichon or one of those little Shih Tzu dogs or something. See, Scooter Boy is not going to chase anything through the woods. He's going to go to like the refrigerator and back, and the dog's going to be like, "I'll keep your spot warm while you're gone." And that's my kind of. And if that's your dog, fine. If you're I don't care if you're 7 foot tall and you got a purse with a little toy dog sticking out of it.
Yeah.
That we want you to match.
Yes,
and that dog will love you. And at the same time, if you're small and you want a huge dog that you want to cuddle up with, hey, you know what I mean? So what we're trying to say is that we're going to first start talking about knowing yourself. See, the reason I know that I'm not going to be out in the woods at night, I've seen some crazy stuff in my life. I ain't going back into the woods at night ever again. So what I want is a dog that's not going to bark all the time. So that's going to be. So what I'm saying is I would form criteria. And if you're finding a person in yourself that you're a person that needs criteria, then you definitely need this course. Well, so in module 2...
well, I can tell you this, Paul's in History and Pop Culture, doing a lot of research for this course, guys, did not know that the Egyptians had 2 different words for dogs, ones that bark and ones that don't. And we talk a little bit about ancient man, how they refined down canines. We talk, too, about how certain canines came to the U.S. here where we're located from other countries with ancient man. And then legendary dogs from fact to fiction. That's another chapter in this course, guys. Everything from misconceptions about dogs. We've all seen the movies and things. You know, if you've seen some of them, you go, oh, that's a great breed. Well, is the dog you get, even though it's the same breed, is it going to be just like that? You know, how much time do trainers spend with dogs? And I know there can be some dog trainers watching this. I train hounds, guys, and have for years. That's difficult. I mean, when you start talking about like search and seizure, water rescue dogs, I believe, I didn't know this one. They could smell a person, I believe they said about 8 feet under the water that had been under there for like a month. That they could smell that well. So we talk a little bit about that, like, you know, how much better is a dog at smelling and hearing and seeing than we are? What colors do they really see in? Yeah. You know, and those types of things. And then some selection and things like, so you're going to pick this puppy and stuff. Well, how do you do that? You know, I can give you a little prequel on that one. I know that a lot of people in the raccoon lines that mess with raccoon hounds, they would go to where another breeder had a litter of puppies, and the first one that came to them, male or female, that's the one they picked. I've also seen other people say, nah, that's not the one you want. You want the one that'll stay away from you. But when you start talking about different breeds or what you're looking for, you might actually need a dog that shows aggressive tendencies. I know that we all see that as like homeowners and family people and things, but, you know, what about a working dog? Do they pick them the same way, like say a military grade dog? Do they pick them the same way as you do like a pet beagle hound? Maybe not. You know,
maybe they should.
And then we talk about problems to progress, troubleshooting your dog's needs. You know, what are you going to do as the dog gets older? What are you going to do if you decide you've got on team dog and you want to start breeding dogs? What about breeding rights and these types of things? That's a lot of stuff to cover in the world of dogs. And a lot of times people that are new owners, they don't really think about that. They go to a breeder and the guy starts telling them about breeding rights, and they're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to breed my dog or not. And then, have your pet spayed or neutered. Well, that's a good idea, unless you want to breed dogs in the future.
It's really complicated.
Yes.
I got 2 breeding cats, and I can't
wow.
change their names. They were fixed before they ever let them out the door because they were show cats.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're valued about $6,000 or whatever, and they have to stay that way. I can't change anything. They were from a breeder that's like, I know what I'm doing, and you're not going to get into business against me. So at a time they fixed the cat so that they could never procreate, but they're also recorded with their names. One of them's name's Taz, the other one's Reno, and they're show cats. They are beautiful, and
they are. They were here when we came to film.
But because they were part of a breeder that had stipulations, I can't change their name. So
well, we do mention this.
I also can't sell them. I have to basically get arranged to have them brought back.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, we mentioned it with dogs. I do know that I talk in one part of the course about what's the difference between a purebred dog, what's the difference between that and a mongrel, what's the difference between that and a crossbred dog. Why would you crossbreed dogs?
The terminology.
The terminology. I mean, what about things like hip dysplasia and stuff? Is that why these breeders are doing this? Because true professional breeders will know what they're doing to try to fix their particular breed or add to it. And we do see a lot of new breeds of dogs. What is it? The Peekapoo, which is a smaller breed. I thought they were neat little dogs.
They're neat.
I've never messed with that much. I've had a few little dogs throughout my life, probably 4 or 5, but he was a neat little dog, and I don't know. I saw it and I was like, "Oh, you're a neat dog. I wonder what you do, but you're pretty smart."
They sit there.
Yeah,
I should probably explain that if you see us looking to the side, we're actually looking at another monitor where the mouse is showing them.
Well,
we're giving you the. If you're listening, if you've listened this far, thank you so much.
Yes.
As you can tell, we're pretty excited. One of the things we do for a living is make courses for education, and this is one of our courses that we're providing. And we're kind of going through some of the modules and some of the lesson names and explain it, because we want this course to be a good fit for you too.
Yes.
If you buy the course and it's like, man, you could have put that in a video, I didn't really learn very much. We don't want that to be something you said. I want you to be like, dude, it was like a fire hydrant of information, and I'm going to have to rewatch it a few times. Fine, you're in it for life. 16
to 20 hours worth on the first part of it. But now that doesn't mean that we're done, because even while making this, guys, we've come up with more and more ideas, and it's like, we should put that in there. That needs to be in this particular course because we have other ones.
Yeah.
Scooter's already finished a few. Do you want to mention that over here, or just have them go look?
Well, I mean, whatever you do, see the courses page. Say, for example, if you wanted to show somebody, you can go on there. You'll see some of our Amish courses and other courses, so you'll see some of them. It's just that this one happens to be our first dog-related course of the time. And it is true because of the Amish and Mennonite angle. I do have a place within the Module 3 that I'll get to here in just a second, talking about it. But what we kind of want to do is mention some of the lessons and why we come up with them, so that you can tell, listen, if you buy this course for this one lesson, it's worth it. You know what I mean? And because some people, it's not a big issue; it's a small one. You know what I mean? Like you might be allergic to a hound.
That's right.
But like Josh just mentioned, the hounds sleep outside.
Yeah.
They hate being inside. It's like they're claustrophobic in a large room.
They will come in, but my particular dogs momentarily. But see, that's something else that we talk about finding a new spouse. Well, what if y'all both have a dog? What are you going to do there? We do talk about final farewells. If we're going to talk the positive, we have to talk the negative, guys. What if you live somewhere there's a homeowners association that won't let you bury a pet in the backyard? Are you going to the veterinarians? Are you going to have pet insurance and have this pet a burial spot? Or like with our raccoon hounds, is it going to go to the coon dog cemetery, or I'm sure there's actually other places in the world now that are pet cemeteries, but have you looked at what that cost? Is that on the size of the dog or whatever? These are all things to consider if you're going to be on team dog, guys. Or what if you go to adopt? That's another thing we talk about.
Rehoming.
Yes, rehoming. Having a plan. If you get this dog and within like the first 24 hours, you're like, this is not the dog for me. I love dogs, but do you already have a plan? Like, if it doesn't work for me, is it going to go here? What are you going to do if you have to travel for work and have a dog? What are you going to do? Is a dog going with you? I mean, we talk about all these topics, guys, and other things. I mean, the future part of it, bark collars. We talk about the buttons and things. We talk about invisible fences. All of this, anything involving dogs. Got some videos actually going to come up, guys. Hopefully, just free videos showing kind of some pet ramps and those types of things. It ought to be
some of the
pretty neat. But I do know we're to your section of the course here, Scooter. So what else? What are we like?
Yeah. Well,
my all-time favorite. Are we going to be able to tell them how a dog knows when you are going to come home and it can't tell time?
How it could predict you coming home. Absolutely.
How does that work?
Yeah, well, that's where we have to show our math, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to give you some crazy stuff, or will I give you some conspiratorial tin hat foil stuff? Or is it foil tin hat stuff? I'm not sure. Either way, it will sound crazy. Because it does sound crazy. I mentioned in some of the lessons how there's that day where we had to tell our children, because, part of the Older Dad Show, and of course, anytime you're old, they think you're mentally challenged. I had to explain to my daughter that though the sun and the moon look like the same diameter, one of them is 93 million miles away, and the other one's about 240,000 kilometers away. And she just looked at me like, right, yeah. Or like perhaps the times you're sitting in front of your child and you're watching some stage performer, magician, and he taps on the little hat, you know what I mean? And he shows everybody the bottom, but he reaches in and pulls out a rabbit. And you explain the story to them. Listen, well, you see there's a false bottom, and the bottom goes into his jacket where the rabbit is. So he reaches through the hat, pulls out the rabbit, and then the trap basically shuts, and that's how he's doing the joke. But your kid looks at you like, I seen what I seen.
Yeah.
You can't tell me what I seen wasn't what I seen. And unfortunately, for a lot of this stuff, people have those attitudes. So you sound conspiratorial, and you sound like you need a tinfoil hat. But what I'm saying is that a lot of things that we're going to talk about, because you did buy a course, we're going to give you the good stuff. It's hard to explain, but it really does focus on the naturalistic tendencies of the dog. And that's why anybody that blows a dog whistle and the dog looks at you like you just shot it, and everybody's like, what's wrong with your dog? I didn't hear nothing. Well, you can't hear 60,000 hertz, you idiot.
Yeah.
But it obviously hurts the dog. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk a lot about the naturalistic thing. But we're going to talk also about what I call dragging your butt. And it's where talk about the dogs you get in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I mentioned a while ago, now I'm going on 50. So it's like, as I get closer to the larger numbers, I don't want an active dog. I'm not going to run. I can't even spell run.
Yeah.
I will fetch, but that's only if I don't want to be outside in the summer or winter. Scooter Boy is an inside cat, you know what I mean? He wants like a little Bichon or a Schnauzer or something like that to just sit around and tear up the newspaper when I forget. And so we're going to talk about a lot of that sort of thing, talking about relationship advice and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you're kind of a wild dog, always looking for a future ex-Mrs. Brown.
Yeah, I've been married twice.
So we're going to talk a lot about whenever you have kids or you're pursuing somebody what if they cannot stand dogs?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that was half. I really want one.
Yeah.
Well, and then you start talking to them. Well, I don't like dogs because they stink, they whatever, they bark, they're whatever. And you're like, oh, so if I fix all those criteria, will you be fine with it? Well, yeah, if you take care of it. I don't want to be the ones. So see the mediation between them. Or say, for example, you do meet a future ex-Mrs. Brown, and you're like, hey, And then you find out she has a dog and you have a dog. And then if you move in together, depending on what space, obviously if you bring a dog from the country to the city, that's a problem. Or if you bring a dog from the city to the country, that could also be a problem. Because he's going to have the pecking order.
Oh, that's for sure.
They're like, things change in the country.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know if my hounds would like it in the town. I don't know.
So that's something
not
that
the
we
thing.
talk about, trying to get your needs met. Sometimes you get laid off from your, country job, and you have to move to the city.
That's another good one, too. We talk about folks that, serotonin in your brain and, hey, buying a puppy, but could it be that we have some people that they didn't want to start breeding dogs? No. They just started bringing in every dog that they saw, and it's like, were some of those dogs even strays? Maybe they just had walked from the neighbors or something, and how that becomes kind of a mental illness that it gets away from people. It does, and they mean well most of the time. They're good-hearted people, but, that's something to look out for. I mean, it was like one day we had one dog, next day we had 10, and it's like now we got to feed them, because we've all seen the horror stories, and there's somebody somewhere that had good intentions when they started, but.
Are you trying to parlay this into the plain communities?
Well, I don't know, not really. It could be though, because I personally have been on a raccoon hunt with a few Amish fellows that had some of the finest blue tick hounds I'd ever seen, but.
Absolutely.
We have heard, Scooter, that's all puppy mills, and it's like all of them.
Yes. Well, if you've watched me before, I'm kind of known as the Amish of Etheridge, Amish and Mennonite. I go all over the southeast to the Amish and Mennonite communities. And if you look up Amish and dogs or Mennonite and dogs, you'll find there's a ton of little documentaries and all that sort of thing. Now, most of them have been disproven. But the stigma is still there, and some of it is true, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I've never been Amish or Mennonite. I just go and I talk about visiting the communities. Now, sometimes we all see on the news a single wide trailer in the middle of nowhere where they dig like 287 dogs out of this thing's one bathroom, and that's obviously a puppy mill. They don't... and a lot of times those people will have a little thing on a marketplace or some website, and it'll be a really low price, usually for a very expensive dog. And they'll want to meet you at a parking lot so that you can exchange money for the thing. And you never get to see its parents. You don't see any of its living conditions. You don't get any papers. Usually, if you do, they look like they were printed. Questionably. And if you try to find that person again, for some reason, they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And you realize real quick you made a huge mistake. You just bought a puppy mill dog, and it's probably full of all kinds of diseases and have been inbred to make it look the way it does. And what do you do then? So what I'm going to do in that particular bonus lesson is I'm going to give you a little bit about the plain communities and dogs, because it is true. I'm not going to steal from that. It's also on YouTube. You can watch it. But what to look out for so that you don't make a mistake. And you can spot, hold on, in that course, it said a lot of this stuff. Are you sure you're not a puppy mill? Of course, the salesman will be like, no, we're above board.
Yeah.
And they'll make up some number or something that you can look up that helps them self-ratify.
Oh, yeah.
And they appear to be right on, but turns out they're really not. And then, of course, I go into how to take a picture of your dog. I mentioned that just a little bit ago with the AI stuff and all that. So let's move on to the very final thing, because that's what.
Well, I think
let's tell them.
Have we already talked about all that? Maybe the next steps, super dogs. Yes, I think we have.
Well, I think the AI stuff with the tech, because that's Rover might be robot Rover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what happens when you buy an AI dog?
Will it really take the place of a flesh and blood animal? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think it will. They're neat. But I don't think they have quite the feeling. It's just not there when you're taking care of something that's actually alive and things. And, that's something right there that we have mentioned, guys, and we can tell you here on YouTube. What about folks that are just using their dogs and things for videos? I didn't put that in the course, but that could be coming up shortly. Like we said, it's a kind of you pay one time, and then we'll keep adding it. And when we add new stuff to it, you'll see it.
Yep.
But they've kind of proven that there were a few folks that were like, "Hey, we used my dog on a video, and that's like all they use the dog for. I mean, it's fed, but it's not really taken care of, or nobody plays with it, or it's like, huh." Till they make a video. It's like
companion dogs.
Yeah.
We talk about that, and of course, I'm not going to steal from the course and explaining the more the deep thinking side of things. You're going to have to buy the course for that information. But in the very end, we do talk about prints in the sand, which is where you make a decision, and it's whether it's a week from then, whether it's a year from then. You can go back through all these lessons, take notes, so that you make a really good decision. Also, that you make a really good decision for the rest of your life. Show your kids this. Like, I know this might knock us out of another course spell, but we love dogs to this degree. I know that most people will say, well, yeah, I could give this to my friend or something like that. Here's what I want you to do, because I don't want you to do that. We'll see that people of IP numbers have changed. Have them over your house. Make this a group thing if they're looking at getting a dog too, so that you can watch them with them, so that you can make a good conscious choice. Because a lot of times whenever I'm out of town, I have to have people watch my cats. Sometimes if you're gone for a while, you have to have, well, it's your neighbor across the road, so you're a little different story. But what are you going to do if you don't, say, for example, come home one day with your pet? You know what I mean? Because some people, they drive like this, don't they? And it's just a matter of time. Somebody else driving like this is going to head-on collision you, and you're going to remove yourself from the gene pool. Yeah. So what's going to happen when your dog's like, is he coming home? He's really late.
Yeah.
And, is there somebody there that could take them into their home or treat them well after? And that's what we're trying to say, is that most people don't think of these things. We usually get a bunch of questions about which we made this particular course with those. So you want to tell them a little bit about the end of that and just making the paw prints in the sand?
Basically, guys, on this particular course, we started off very basic for people that are new to this, but we want to get you guys on Team Dog, basically. I mean, if you have had the idea before, I'd love to have a dog, we want to help you make the right decision to get the right dog for you, and that could just be one that you adopt at the pound. I don't know, but we talk in such a way, guys, or hopefully that we do, that you could show this to a fifth grade class in school. And some of it is repetitive. It's like dogs like bones, but you have to remember that you may know that, but the other person that purchases this class may just be like, that's right, I knew that and forgot that, So hopefully that's kind of it. I mean, is there anything else we need to tell them here at YouTube?
Well, I mean, since you're on YouTube, now if you're watching this on YouTube and you just looked up Dog Course and you found us, great. If you don't mind, look in the description. That will go to our web page where this video is hosted, on it. You don't have to rewatch it. Now, once you get to our progenyadventuregroup.com website, there'll be a little button underneath me here, and where this video is playing, that says basically, I want the course. That'll go immediately. Now, if you're still on the fence, go ahead and read down. When you get to the very bottom, there'll be another button where you can purchase again if you didn't want to go all the way back to the top. Now, there will be some times we do, maybe throughout the year, a special discount or something like that coming up. And if you would like to watch out for that, we'll put that on our Facebook page, okay? So that people that follow us there, and they keep up with all of our other stuff that's not even dog related. It's outdoor and
all
parenting.
Outdoor stuff.
Absolutely. And that will give you a sizable amount off at different times. I can't really say now because this is just now coming out. So if you don't mind, follow us on our social media account so that whenever you see it, you're like, all right, enter the course code and get a discount, all that sort of thing. And if it's not for you, you're like, I don't know. Now that you said all that stuff about the dog, and that I feel pretty selfish because I was just going to get a dog to run with, send this video, share it with some of the people in your life that might need a dog course. You got those friends at church or something. It's like, I want a puppy for my baby. And it's like, I heard that one guy with the funny hat say, don't do hat. Because now you got two baby things, and you're gonna wish you hadn't.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for sure.
You don't get babies, pets, especially one with little sharp razory teeth, because it'll
Oh.
nibble on the other one and it'll start crying again.
Yeah, if you've never been on
Get
Team
them a
Dog,
bigger dog.
it's like I don't know if that's quite the move you want to make yet. You
Yes.
know.
Or I like quiet, but I'm going to give you a Chihuahua, because some of them are really barky. Not all of them. I'm just saying that sometimes.
the ice maker in the refrigerator dropped ice, and now it won't quit barking. It's like,
Yeah, and
so much for watching that movie, huh?
yeah, you don't give dogs as pets or dogs pets as gifts. Here, I got a puppy for you, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you don't really know me, do you? And all that sort of thing. So there's a lot of mistakes people make. So I don't want this to be one of them. If you've seen this long, thank you so much. So that's what we're going to ask you to do is go ahead and look in the description. Click on that link. It'll take you to a web page where all of this stuff is put out. Now, if you're on that web page, obviously you're seeing the same video. You don't have to watch it again. Go ahead and look at the buttons, all that sort of thing, and that's going to give you an indication of what you need to do next. So that's what we would say. And I would love for you to buy this course
I would too.
and teach yourself how to be a good dog owner for the rest of your life. So anything you want to say?
I think that's about it, man. I don't know. Just check out all of our other online courses and things if they interest you, and follow us on different platforms. You can find all different ones. The Amish of Etheridge, Crockett Coonhound Show. We're putting something out every day. I talked about being fishing today and with waders and falling in cold water. What do you
That's
do?
right.
I don't know.
You shiver for a while.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we can warm you up to a good dog if you get this particular course. Anyway, this is us, and I guess we're over and out.
That's it. You guys have a great day.